Am I the asshole for stealing from work? Throwaway because one of my coworkers uses Reddit and I don't want her to find my ACCT. I work at an animal shelter with thrift stores affiliated with it. When I was hired, the HR told me that we have first dibs on all donated items that the shelter can't use. It is also in the employee handbook. Let's say someone donates a blanket. If the blanket is fleece, we use it. If it isn't, we put it in a giant box that gets sorted through and sent out to one of our thrift stores, where someone can buy it. If one of the employees at the shelter wants to, they can take the blanket as long as they make any donation. We get lots of pet food, towels, rags, and dishes donated. When this happens, my boss always throws out perfectly good laundry and dishes and replaces it with the newly donated stuff. It drives me crazy. I am absolutely broke beyond belief due to taking in my sister, who was in a domestic abuse situation and lost everything. In July I donated a shit ton of food for the dogs at my work, around $100 worth. When we donate money, we get a little signed slip saying we donated. When I donated my food, I also got a slip saying $100. So this means I can use it to take things home. For reference to how much donation is expected, my boss took home a brand new dog bed that costs around $50 and donated $5. Today, we got a huge donation of laundry with some cat food that we cannot use because it is chunky and we can only use pâté. This food would be donated to the thrift store, and I knew that perfectly good rags would get thrown away. So because I had not yet used my $100 slip, I took the cat food and I went through our excess and took 4 matching-ish towels and 6 matching rags, and threw out any gross ones. I also took some silverware and some blankets that were already in the donation bin. The amount of stuff I took could not have possibly totaled to more than $50. I put the slip in the donation cup, thus, redeeming my donation as it says to do in the handbook. My coworker saw this, and told my boss, who called and bitched me out. She accused me of stealing, when I am sure I am allowed to take any excess as long as I donate. I told her I had a slip for $100, but she says that it doesn't count because I donated that food in July. I don't think that is fair, and this rule isn't in the handbook. When I told her, she said it is about the ethics of the matter, not the rules. She also insisted that I had taken well over $100 worth of stuff, which is false. Plus, even if I did, it would have resold at the thrift store. It would have probably turned into $50 worth of stuff. I am losing my mind. My boss says that taking donation is supposed to work as a transaction and that no previous donations should count. But then why do we get a slip? She also said I shouldn't be making donations just so I can take things home. It should be because I care about the animals. Why can't it be both? Am I the asshole here? Edit. To clarify some things, the slip is just an index card with the signature of the girl who collects donations. It cannot be used for tax purposes. You specifically have to ask for a receipt for your taxes, and only workers get the slip. I contacted HR, and the cards solely exist for collecting future donations. She said it can even be redeemed at one of the thrift store locations, which I don't think I would really ever want to do. This is the only time I have ever redeemed my donations. I usually just threw the card away, but with the $100 card I decided to hold onto it just in case someone donated something that I actually needed and couldn't afford to get on my own. When we make donations for items we take, the rule of thumb is that we donate what the thrift store would sell it for. So while the bed was a $50 bed, it would have sold for $5 at the thrift store, so that is why my boss did the $5. I do not necessarily agree with this, but I am not gonna police people's donations. Not the asshole. You donated more than what you actually ended up taking back home. Your boss obviously abused this rule by taking home a new dog bed that was a lot more than what she donated. So it's very hypocritical of her to back your co-worked up. If it's not in the handbook, it's because they're making up bullshit rules to try and get you in trouble. NTA. Speak to HR as it seems one rule for one another for others. Not the asshole. There isn't anything in the handbook about how you aren't allowed to take stuff with donations that were a long time ago. Also, it's unfair that your boss donates way less than you and takes £50 worth of things, same as you, then scolds you for taking the same worth. Not the asshole. The handbook is kind of the written contract here, and you can't just go along making verbal amendments to it, i.e. making things up as you go along. You did things the same way you always do. Your coworker probably had their eye on some of that stuff, and that's why they complained to your boss. The slips don't have expiration dates, and the animals don't give a crap about intent when they're warm and eating. If your boss really felt that it should be about caring about the animals, she wouldn't take a paycheck. Not the asshole. Seems like your boss is, however. Not the asshole. The rules are unclear, but your manager seems happy to make up any rules that suit her argument. Speak to HR. Not the asshole. They are playing Calvin ball now with making up rules that only apply to you. If it ain't a written rule, it ain't a rule. Not the asshole. Given your work's policies, but do the people who are donating blankets to your shelter know that the employees are taking them home instead? This is just weird. I would be taking my donations somewhere else. Am I the asshole for not apologizing to my brother, Sil, for saying they starved their baby? My brother and his wife had their first baby 7 months ago. My mother, who lives with me, recently started watching the baby instead of placing in daycare. So the baby is at my house all week. It's been a month and my mom says that the baby barely sleeps. Will cry and show signs of tiredness, but only naps for half an hour at the most. My brother and Sil have also told us the baby still wakes up almost every 1–2 hours throughout the night like a newborn, and it's extremely exhausting. They've tried plenty of different things, but nothing has improved much. The baby only drinks breast milk. While I know every baby is different, and what works for some might not others, I still can't help but think they aren't feeding the baby enough. As a mother of 3 myself, all my kids started differently. One ate baby cereal at 4 months. Another didn't take to solids until 6 male. But I think I have a good sense of when a baby is ready to start taking in more. After finding out that they only feed the baby 4 ounces at a time, I suggested talking to the pediatrician about starting baby on solids. They said the doctor already gave them the go-ahead, but my bro, Sil, didn't think the baby was ready yet. So I said I think upping his ounces in milk would probably help baby sleep better. Fuller equals longer stretches. They brushed me off. Then last Friday my mom was watching the baby and decided on her own to give the baby smashed up banana, which the baby absolutely loved. My Sil was pissed, and obviously I can see why. It wasn't my mother's call to make for numerous reasons. But my mom wouldn't back down, saying they are starving her grandchild. So they called me and basically demanded I get in the middle and make my mom apologize to them or she wouldn't see the baby anymore. I told them I think she should apologize for not getting their permission, but that I don't think my mother is wrong for her reasoning. That they aren't feeding their child enough, and maybe because they're new parents, they ought to hear other parents out. They called me some choice words and said they don't feel comfortable leaving their child at my house anymore until we apologize. I said I wouldn't give their baby anything they didn't want me to, but that I will not apologize for voicing my opinion. Am I the asshole for not just apologizing and keeping my opinions to myself? Now my mother and I might not get to see the baby for the foreseeable future. Edit and slight update. I see a lot of call CPS. Neither my mom nor I think involving CPS is appropriate. We know the parents love their baby and are just worried about giving baby the wrong thing. Baby has regular checkups and doesn't seem like he misses a meal. There has never been any reports of malnutrition, so this is why, I assume, parents have felt comfortable going at the pace they are. We know the baby eats 4 ounces at a time because that's how much are in each bottle, and Sil says 1 bottle each feeding. But we have no idea how much baby drinks when she directly breastfeeds at home. She works part-time, so baby is only with my mom for 6 hours a day at most. That's about 2–3 bottles worth. I know I said I think they aren't feeding baby enough, but that was out of concern for sleep and parent sanity, and not because I think they are purposely starving their child. I talked with my brother and told him my concerns. He said he will start baby on solids slowly, their own blends of mixed veggies. But fruits are too sugary and they don't want baby to get used to sweet first. Ultimately I think they took what I said under consideration and are still navigating new parenthood. However, they are still not talking to my mom because they don't trust that she will consult with them first before giving their child foods they haven't tested themselves. Until she apologizes, I don't think mom will be babysitter anymore. You're nicer than I am. I would have called their pediatrician. They are a mandatory reporter and this could easily be a CPS issue. Kids die because of stuff like this. Not the asshole, please call CPS on them. Failure to thrive is more common than people think. I'm not saying they deserve to lose their baby, but they need a slap in the face. Babies can deteriorate very quickly. What? My baby is 9 weeks old and on 5 ounces. A 7-month-old should be in at least 6/7? Not the asshole for what you said, but you are the asshole if you continue to let them starve this poor child without doing anything about it, like reporting it. Not the asshole. Call the pediatrician. I had an in-law what was starving her infant son. I was getting ready to call CPS, when the pediatrician yelled at her, told her to get the baby a high chair and start feeding him. I had to do a conversion. For ML users, the 7-month-old is getting 118 milliliters. Not the asshole. They're starving their kid. Info. Is the baby actually underweight and failing to thrive? If baby is breastfeeding, you have no idea how much baby is having at a time. 7 months is roughly the right time to start on solids for most babies, but you do realize that when you started yours on solids at 4 months, that's totally against medical advice now. Right? 6 months is the earliest they should be introduced to anything other than breast milk formula. So, I need more info to judge this one. If baby is underweight, then you're NTA, but if baby is developing properly and is a healthy weight, as determined by a professional who has been mapping their growth and weight etc., then you're absolutely an asshole. Normally I'd side with parents, but in this one I am team grandma all the way. Not the asshole. But I would try to talk it out with them again from a loving place when everyone has calmed down. Not the asshole. Snarky comment coming, there goes their free childcare. Bet they have an epiphany when they find out there are no openings at daycare and the cost. Am I the asshole for having my roommate evicted? Hi everyone. I'm a first-time poster, so I'm sorry for formatting issues. To me the answer to this is very obvious, but some people do think I'm going too far. I, 19F, am a sophomore in college, but just moved away to school a month ago due to COVID delays. I signed a lease at a seemingly nice student housing complex a few miles from campus back in January. I was very excited for my new adventure until a month ago. On move-in day I met my oldest roommate Jay. I could tell we were very different people but wanted to try and be her friend anyway. Things were good for all of 48 hours. Come day 3 of us living together, our first issue arose when she told me my family who passed of COVID were all going to die anyway. I know that's a very blunt way of jumping into the issues, but that's exactly how it happened. There really was no conversation leading up to this moment. She just said it. Not even days later her boyfriend's dog begins living with us against the lease. Normally I would have no issues with this scene as I adore animals. But I learned very quickly that she isn't the best person to raise a dog. She's made that very obvious multiple times. I feel so terrible because I love that dog deeply. I do my best to show him love and happiness whenever I can. I even plan on offering to pay to adopt him. My third and biggest reason is her boyfriend now living with us. He is very open about doing meth, committing crimes, and walks around the house practically naked. Even sometimes we'll go onto our shared balcony fully naked and yell at our neighbors just to scare them. If all of this weren't enough, the reason that has finally set me over the edge happened tonight. I realized that my Ring doorbell has not been giving me notifications for a few days. I didn't notice before because I was out of town and it was the last thing on my mind. But, after checking the last person detection video, I saw her placing it into the trash bin. There has already been a problem with her taking my stuff, but this was my final straw. I have been in contact with my leasing office who say they all hate her as well. We have plenty of evidence to have her evicted and I'm so ready to have her gone. She's just so vile and disgusting. I would love if her life was ruined. Some of my family think this is going too far and I should hit her with fines instead. But my stuff is gone and I want that dog taken away from her, and this is the best way I know to deal with both. What do you guys think? Edit, update. Hi guys. Thank y'all so much for telling me I'm not in the wrong on this one. I just want to say very quick, I don't think my family are as terribly in the wrong as some people think, and the assumptions are okay because I didn't preference more. While my family thinks the eviction is harsh, they do support me in my decision and want what's best for me. Which at the moment is not living in the same house as Jay. Update. My ring has been found. However, I have still made the decision to move houses as well as follow through with all reports. I have also taken some of y'all's advice into account and will be filing a police report against the J in regards to the dog. I understand there are bigger issues than that, such as multiple of my personal items going missing. But for the time being the dog is what I care about most. He is getting it much worse than I am. If anything else happens, which it most definitely will, I'll let you guys know. Some of my family think this is going too far and I should hit her with fines instead. WTF is wrong with your family? But fat, not the asshole, she and her boyfriend were not only a nuisance but a danger to you. Anyone who says you did the wrong thing is either ignorant or engages in similar toxic behavior. Not the asshole at all. If you have a problem with her, Management has a problem, and she's knowingly violating the lease agreement. I'd be also willing to bet it says that anyone living there has to be on the lease, and it sounds like her boyfriend isn't listed. But get rid of them. There's no reason to ruin your college experience because people want to be trashy. Not the asshole. Get her gone. Not the asshole. This is an unsafe situation. Not the asshole. Have the locks changed after they leave and stay somewhere else for a few days if you can. NTA. And some of your family need to put down the pipe. Not the asshole. She moved a dog in, lease violation. She moved her boyfriend in, also a lease violation. Been there, done that. You gave her an inch and she took the entire county. Report her. By the way, it's the apartment complex which is evicting her, not you, because she broke her lease terms. Get a lock for your room. Would I be the asshole if I told my parents they aren't allowed to use my car anymore? My 20 female stepdad, 51 male, has been using my car for his second job. He does DoorDash and will do it for multiple hours multiple nights a week. I have a Prius, so my can is more fuel efficient than his truck. They will reimburse my gas sometimes but not all the time. My stepdad has also left my car messy with stains, and there was even peanut shells all over the floor one time. Granted, he cleaned up my car once it was brought to his attention, but I still think it is unacceptable given that it is my car and should be treated with the same respect of a borrowed car. My stepdad also leaves my headlights on. They turn off after a little while, I think, but still are on for a while. One of my headlights burnt out and my mom and stepdad expected me to pay for it even though I only use my car at night once a week, whereas my stepdad uses my car mostly at night. My dad paid for the bulbs, but my mom and stepdad do not know. I changed my oil 3 months ago and now the light is flashing saying I will probably have to change it again soon. It will be expected that I pay for that too, and they always want me to go to the dealership to do that, which is about $200. I use my car a fraction of how much my stepdad uses it weekly. They pay for my insurance and I appreciate that, but I feel like I shouldn't be having to pay for my stepdad using and abusing my car. The last straw came when today I got a call from my mom for the first time in a week asking for him to use my car because he has a flat tire. I am at my dad's house because I transition every 2 weeks. My mom has a Lexus that is more fuel efficient, but she never offers to have him use it. I work on the weekend and like to have the option to use my car, especially when I am not at their house. I said, I guess, and my mom got mad that I was not jumping at the chance to help them even though it should not be an expectation that they use my car. She talked about how much it inconveniences them for him to not be able to DoorDash today. I started crying. I do a lot for them already. I give my sister rides. I run errands for them, help with chores, and do a lot more even though it inconveniences me. My stepdad used my car today and brought it back at the time I said I needed it back, but with less gas, while there's a gas station a block away from where I work. My headlights were also on for no reason because he brought it back at 3 p.m. and it is super bright outside. They say they need the money, but they took 3 trips back to back this summer and we all went to California for a road trip for my spring break. They are planning another trip this winter. They're using DoorDash to pay them off. They take multiple trips a year that are not cheap. Many trips they have taken have been out of the country. I don't think that I should be paying extra for maintaining my car so that they can pay off multiple expensive trips when I have only gotten to go on one. Not the asshole. They're making money by devaluing your car. That's unacceptable. Not the asshole, but this is a very sticky situation. If you say they can't use the car anymore, they'll see it as you biting the ham that feels you. So expect the insurance to be gone and maybe even threats of charging you for rent and food. Not the asshole, but you might want to calculate the price of your insurance against what you're paying for now. If you take this action, there's going to be a reaction. Not the asshole. It's your car, and the more he uses it, the more he risks wrecking it. And will your stepdad pay for it? Oh, hell no. Tell your dad what's up, and ask if you can stay with him on a more permanent basis to get away from your mom and stepdad. You're 20, you're an adult, so you don't have to deal with custody agreements in that area. Once that's arranged, spend one last chunk of money to rekey your car so they can no longer get into it. Of course you're not the asshole, and I suspect you know it. The real question is, what happens if you tell them they can't use the car? They're probably going to call you the asshole and try to guilt you into it. Are you prepared to handle that? Could you perhaps stay with your dad full-time they realize you mean business? What other leverage do they have on you? Bills they pay, things like that? You're of age now, so you don't have to worry about custody anymore. Not the asshole. If they need the money, they can use one of their cars. This doesn't seem to be a reasonable setup you have going on. Absolutely not the asshole. They are taking advantage of you. If they truly appreciated what you have done for them, they would pay for the majority of the maintenance on the car. The fact that they expect you to pay for repairing the wear and tear that he is mainly causing is unacceptable and unfair. Not the asshole. So, he is using your gas and adding lots of miles to your car, decreasing its resale value, to earn money for trips out of the country? Lol. What? What are you getting out of this whole deal? Also, you might not be aware, but unless you have specifically added rideshare, delivery service coverage to your car insurance, they will 100% refuse to cover any claims that take place while he is dashing. Happened to a friend last year and he had to go out of pocket for almost $3,500 when he was the victim of a hit and run. Other driver fled and was never caught. It adds somewhere around $40–90 per month, depending on the ages of all drivers on the policy and their driving records.